Hey everyone, Steven here, and today I'm reviewing the solar power bank from GOODaaa. I'll have video of me unboxing this rolling while I talk about the specs and features. This is a 36,000 milliamp capacity power bank with 4 built-in cables that includes a USB Type-A, micro USB, USB Type-C, and an Apple Lightning cable. Above all these cables is a wireless charger, which you press the power button once to turn this on, and there's an LED light indicator that shows when this is on and if it's charging your device. In the middle of the wireless charger ring, this has the output specs for each charging type. The max output here is 15 watts, and that will be with the USB Type-A or C. On one end of the device, you will have a USB Type-A output, a USB Type-C output/input that can be used to charge an electronic device, or it can be used to charge the power bank. And last is a micro USB input, which you can only use to charge the power bank. This has a rubber flap to cover all of these ports as well. And then above this, you actually have the LED battery indicator, which also lets you know if the solar cell is getting enough sun to charge this. For the solar cell, this is DC 5 volts at 0.32 amps with 25,000 lux light intensity, and I believe that is the max that this can actually recharge at. So if you have this in the sun and you have up to that 25,000 lux light intensity, this will be the max charging capacity that you could actually get out of this. So taking the DC 5 volts and then timesing it by that 0.32 amps, you get 1.6 watts. So 1.6 watts is the max charging input from the sun that you could get out of this. Now running that through a just quick calculation on how long it would take to actually fully charge this 36,000 milliamp battery just off of the sun, it would take 118.4 hours with this. You can't really just rely solely on the solar for this, but it will help just recharge that a little bit when you're out and about. So to put this into a little bit better context here, let's say the average phone size in terms of the battery is 4,000 to 7,000 milliamps. It would take roughly 13 to 23 hours of just this sitting in the sun at max sun to get that essentially power from the sun back into the power bank. So you're actually have to leave it out for a while. So you can't solely just rely on the solar cell on this. It's just helping recoup a little bit. Now you have the inputs on one end of this, and on the opposite end you have the LED light, which you hold the power button for this to turn on, and that's on the side of the device. You just hold this down and it will turn this on or off. Now this is just a 1 watt light, so it's not very bright, but it is a nice touch to have, and it can help in a bind, but it isn't brighter than a phone light. This is made of premium ABS materials and has a lithium polymer battery. The manual for this says it's water, dust, and shock proof, but with this having electrical components, I think this is water and dust resistant and not foolproof. It might be shock proof and it feels quite durable, but there's not an IPX rating that I can find anywhere to confirm the level of water and dust resistance. So now that I've covered these specs and features, let's talk about what I like with this power bank, starting with the overall functionality of this, which in my opinion is great. There's a bit of a trade-off here, or at least things to be mindful of, but the built-in cables are nice to have, so you don't have to haul around a bunch of cables for various devices if you don't want to. Something to be mindful of here though is the length of the cables are shorter, and although they do appear to be quite durable for the sleeve that's on them, they may eventually break down and stop working. This still does have the USB-A and Type-C outputs though, so it would still be functional even if these did break. I do like the fact that you could run up to 6 devices off this simultaneously as well if you wanted to. Not something I would normally do, but just the ability to run a couple different things at the same time is pretty awesome. I also really like the solar panel, and I've been able to get 4 phone charges out of this. It was from 50% back up to 100% on the battery, so basically 2 full phone charges, and then actually set this out in the sun for about 4 to 6 hours, and I was able to get the battery back to full charge with that, which was pretty good. Now, basing off the calculations, I don't know quite how I was able to get it back to full on that, but the battery indicator light showed the 75% to 100%, so maybe not 100% battery with this, but it did bump it back up. So just being able to reclaim some of the battery, in my opinion, is pretty cool. Now, the manual recommends that you have the solar panel in a well-ventilated area and to watch the heat on it, as the battery has the potential to swell if it gets too hot, so just keep that in mind. With this, it says to not expose the temperature to something that is above 80 degrees Celsius or 176 degrees Fahrenheit. So watch out for putting this on a car dashboard in the summer or any surface that's prone to more extreme temperatures. I also like the wireless charging on this. I think that's a nice touch. For iPhones, depending on the camera size, it can be a little tricky finding the exact spot to hold the charge consistent. Otherwise, it's just going to keep connecting and disconnecting. So something to keep in mind there. It's also not MagSafe for newer iPhones, but I don't think that's a deal breaker by any means. And in terms of the aesthetics with this, I do like the more rugged look that this has. And this does have other color options if you want to match this to a backpack or any of your outdoor gear. Last, the price here is really good in my opinion, with this normally being $69.99, but it's been discounted for some time now down to $43 with a $6 off coupon, bringing it down to $37 before tax. So you can get a lot of different options with this in a large storage bank size for a solid price. Moving on to the negatives here, I really just have two, and the first one is there isn't an IPX rating like I mentioned earlier, so this to me isn't really water or dust proof, and I have to assume the level of resistance based on the build quality. Now you have the cables and ports on this, so it won't be a good idea to get this wet in general, but a more concrete IPX rating is something I would like to see with this. So the ports, you have a rubber cover which can actually seal this quite well. I'm guessing this can stand to get rain on it, maybe even submerge underwater for a brief moment. But again, I don't know that 100%. I'm actually just going off of the features and the build quality and then formulating an opinion based off of that. So I would really like to see an IPX rating that is something concrete with this product. Last, with the negatives, I do wish that you could get a higher watt charge with this. So it maxes out at 15 watts depending on the USB-A or Type-C output. But it would be nice to get this at more 20-30 watts for that output, so you could just get a better quick charge. And part of me was almost considering just making that a gray area thing, because I don't think everybody's going to need something that may be faster than 15 watts. I think it would be nice for phones, because if you just put this in the bag and you have this going really quick, you could just get more battery out of it in a shorter period of time. The other thing that is going to be limiting with this, if you do have handhelds like a Steam Deck or if you have a laptop, this isn't a high enough output for that. So you're going to end up going with a different power bank if you wanted to use that. And typically those are larger in terms of the storage size with it anyways, but something to be mindful of. This is really just for lower electronics, phones, earbuds, things like that. Maybe your camera, if you have a DSLR, but it's not going to be something that could handle the output needed for, like I said, laptops or handhelds. Well, that's going to be it for this one. Overall, I am very happy with this power bank, and it was great to actually have this on our last vacation. The features this has with the built-in cables, the wireless charging, and the large capacity make it worth it if you travel or do lots of outdoor activities. And something like I mentioned earlier to keep in mind is it's just not going to charge those larger electronics with the laptops or the handhelds. The price with discounts makes this a solid deal and an easy recommendation on my part. I'll have a link for this in the description if you want to pick it up. If you have any questions about this, let me know in the comment section. If you liked the video, hit the like button for me. If you want to continue to follow along with all my content, hit the subscribe button for me. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.